Today, I would like to talk about good and bad brochure copywriting. And this is off the back of the blog post that I published this week, pretty much called the same thing, good and bad brochure copywriting, lessons of. And I want to give you 7 tips for better brochure copywriting. Now, if you want to read the full blog post, head to copywritematters.com and you'll see it's the most recent one on the blog right now. If you're watching the replay or you're watching this on YouTube, because I do record the Periscopes and put them on YouTube, then you can go to copywritematters.com, head to the blog and search for brochure copywriting and you'll be able to see it. It's a little hard there. Thank you very much. So I want to talk about why a brochure is so important, because with the popularity of online marketing, surely brochures are just old news, right? You got to get they're expensive, you got to get them printed. Who likes to store brochures? But in actual fact, they can be very, very useful. Bugger, a hair, up weird, and distracting. So brochures actually can work really hard. They are essentially your salesperson when you're not in the room. An incredibly important role. So often when you're talking to someone, you get to share your passion and enthusiasm. You get to, nail all your sales pitches to the person. But if you're not there, you still need your marketing collateral. Beck in Melbourne. Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And the full noise is tuning in. Thanks very much. So you need your brochure to be just as charming and persuasive as your best salesperson would be in person. So, that can be really tough. That can be really tough, especially if you've got maybe a brochure like this, which is just upside down, just 2 sides, or even a DL brochure over here, which is just, even smaller. So a brochure, for people who are just tuning in, kitchen noise, having roast beef tonight. So a brochure can actually do a few things. They can maybe introduce your business to people who have never heard from you, and there's been no interaction so far, or they could actually reinforce and back up a meeting that's happened, or they can do something like they can be a one-time promotion of an offer or something like that. So hi, Digital Young. Thanks for joining in. So some examples of those: when you go to a trade show, you get handed out brochures left, right, and centre, right? And they're brochures that introduce you to businesses that you probably have never talked to. The reinforcement brochure might be a brochure that you get after a meeting with a salesperson. So that is basically to reinforce the key messages that you've probably been given, and tell you a bit more about the business. And then you have promotional offers that say, this is a limited time offer, you can get a special discount, that kind of stuff. And the point of those is to drive some specific action quite soon. So they're the different things that brochures need to do. And as I said, your brochure needs to work as hard as your most persuasive salesperson without them being in the room. So on this week's blog, I tell the tale of 2 different brochures, and I encourage you to go to the blog and have a look, because I've actually got screenshots of the brochures, and I critique their copy. But in a sense, the bad one has a really terrible headline. I mean, it's clever, it's kind of funny, but it doesn't tell me anything about the business. It doesn't identify with me. It actually misses that whole brochure. The bad one on the blog misses all the pain points. It's actually for solar panels. I got it at a trade show for, like a home improvement trade show kind of thing. And it was for solar panels. I think, I'm not even sure it is. Thanks for sharing the Periscope on Twitter, Robbie. I appreciate it. And so it had this thing, it was promoting these sexy, stylish solar panels. But you know what? As a consumer, I'm pretty sure my concerns are more about my energy efficiency and my bills, rather than having a sexy, stylish solar panel. But the other thing this brochure did, it included a lot of technical jargon. I remember reading this brochure going, I think this is about solar panels, but I'm not really sure. There's lots of buzzwords and technical jargon here that I don't even know what they're talking about. And then the last thing this brochure did, it was talked about features and not benefits. And they were technical features as well. So I had no clear indication about what this product was or how it would help me. Thanks for the hearts there. Don't think I'm not noticing. Now, the flip side of that was another environmental product. It was glass glazing, and it was a really good brochure. So it had a summary of their USP, which is their unique selling proposition, on the front cover. It was the first thing I saw. So I got what the product was. I got how it would help me. It was something like a 92% efficiency rate and how much money it would save me. So that was a brilliant summary. It used lots of images to explain how the product worked, which is perfect. So I don't want to read a lot of technical jargon. I want a nice little graphic. Boom, it goes on the glass and it's as effective as double glazing. That's what I need to know. And then it actually includes something like 10 reasons you're going to love this product. John, thanks very much for sharing the scope on Twitter right now. Now, all these things put together, as well as connecting with my pain points as a consumer. How much money am I going to save? Is this going to improve my energy efficiency and save the planet? And there were a couple other things. Like, this brochure clearly connected all those things. It was a much more effective brochure. I understood what the product was, I understood what it did, how it worked, and how it would work for me. So this was a very persuasive salesperson. See, this was, it was a long time since I've seen this brochure and I still remember it. And as I said, you can see screenshots in the blog which critique these two brochures much more thoroughly. Copyrightmatters.com, and you'll see it on the blog right now. Now, what I wanted to leave you with, all I wanted to talk about really, is 7 brochure copywriting tips that will help you as a copywriter or as a business owner write better brochures, because goodness knows we need better brochures. The first thing is to keep it brief, right? A brochure is not a place for waffle. It's not a place for your life story. If you want to tell more of a story, tell it on your website, write lots of blog posts. That's where you can tell more of a story. It doesn't mean you need no narrative or storytelling in your brochure, but you do not have the space or the attention span of your reader to waffle. So don't. Number 1 tip, keep it brief. The next tip, number 2 tip, that's number 2. I was doing a rude sign to you then, is keep earning the next page. And what I mean by that is every word on your brochure has to work hard and every page has to offer enough value and interest to get someone's eyeballs to the next page. That's what you have to think about. Never assume that someone's going to read the whole brochure. Never assume that they're going to read it in the order that you want them to. People will pick things up. They will read the back first. They will read the bottom first, So you have to think about how people are going to maybe read the brochure and keep earning the next page. Tip number 3, sell benefits and not just features. So the first brochure I talk about in the blog is all technical features of this product. In the second brochure that I highlight in the blog, it tells me about what I need to know and how my life will change, particularly my bank balance and probably my eco-conscience, how that will be impacted by the product. That's a benefit. That's what I need to know. What's in it for me, not the technical features that I didn't understand anyway. If you can hear the stirring, that's the Yorkshire puddings being made right now. Yes, roast beef. 4th tip, I've got a question here. How often should you repeat the benefits on a typical brochure? Now, good question. It depends on how long the brochure is. So I think you want to put important information at the front of everything, really. So the longer the brochure, you have to prioritize the information to put the benefits as early as possible in the brochure. Now, if you've got a really short brochure, like a double-sided DL brochure, which is about this big, then it doesn't really matter because you're keeping the eyeballs. Hi, Miles. Thanks for joining in. On a DL brochure, you've got the front and the back. So it kind of doesn't really matter. But if you had a 10-page brochure, then you want to put the benefits, highlight the benefits as early as possible, and then you probably want to remind them towards the end as well. And with that point, you probably want to have multiple calls to action, which was actually my 7th tip, so I'm going to come back to that. So you probably want to have multiple calls to action, multiple repeating the benefits, and multiple contact details in that kind of long brochure. That was number 3 tip, sell the benefits, not just features. I'll just do a recap. Keep it brief, tip number 1. Tip number 2, keep earning the next page. Number 3, sell the benefits, not just features. Number 4, remember your reader. Thank you very much for the hearts. I do notice them there. Remember the reader. And I'm talking about knowing who's going to be reading your brochure and what they want to get out of it. What do they need to get out of it? At the beginning of the Periscope, I talk about different points of brochures. Are you introducing your business to someone who doesn't know you? Are you reinforcing your brand to someone who's just met you? Are you making a one-time offer? Remember what you need to communicate to your reader and what they need to know to take the next step. So that's number 4 tip. Number 5 is have a compelling tone of voice. Now, you might have an awesome conversational tone of voice on your website and in your blog. You've got to carry that over to your brochure. There is no reason at all that a brochure can't have a conversational tone of voice. Now, you might not want a super casual tone of voice in all your marketing. That might not be your brand at all, but you've got to make sure it's consistent and compelling between your website, for example, and your brochure. You want to make the brochure messages feel like your best salesperson is in the room, and I think having a conversational tone of voice is a great way to do that. Whatever you do, make it compelling and make it consistent. That's tip number 6. That's tip number 5. Tip number 6 is establish credibility in your brochure. You should have, along with a fantastic headline, you should be explaining your uniqueness in your brochure. You should be explaining your benefits to your reader. You should be having a little bit about your business as well. You should make sure you have contact details and establish your credibility where you talk about your business and you have contact details. Are you the member of an association? Bung a logo in. Have you won any awards? Put those in too. Do you have SSL secure purchasing? Put a logo in. You want to build that trust and connection with the person reading your blog, and sometimes some handy little icons is much more effective than a paragraph telling someone how trustworthy you are. And the 7th one is the call to action, which I mentioned earlier. So you want to make sure every piece of marketing should have an awesome headline and a call to action, bookends of great marketing. And you want to make sure your brochure has a call to action too. Now, if it's a brochure where you're introducing yourself, or if it's a brochure of reinforcing your brand, then you want to have a call to action like get in touch with us, find out more, let's book a consultation, that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you leave people with an action to take. If it's a brochure where you've got a specific offer, then you want to have your call to action for them to take up the offer. Robbie says, great tip about the icons. Tick. Thanks very much. And I said, looking at these 2 brochures on the blog, images can do work a lot harder in a brochure and convey a lot more, thank you very much for the hearts, than paragraphs of text. So although I'm all about the copy, think carefully about how you could maybe say more with a nice graphic image or icon. That was a lot of hearts up there. That was freaking awesome. So let's just do a quick recap on these 7 tips. Keep it brief. Keep earning the next page. Sell benefits, not just features. It doesn't mean you can ignore the features, but focus on the benefits. Remember the reader. What do they care about? What do they need to know to take action? Use a compelling tone of voice. That's 5 now. Use a compelling tone of voice. Establish credibility and include a call to action. If you follow those 7 tips, your brochures will be better, and I encourage you to head to the blog, copywritematters.com. I have good and bad copywriting, a tale of virtue and woe in the world of brochure copywriting. And I've got these examples that I mentioned, I've got screenshots, and I've got a more detailed copywriting critique that is good to see. Now, if you're watching the recording, because I do record these Periscopes and I put them on YouTube, Copyright Matters TV is me on YouTube. I should have a funky little URL come up that'll show you exactly where it is, but you can search on brochure copywriting on my website and you should find it. So that's me. If you're interested in never missing a blog post, You can actually subscribe to The Copy Detective, which is my blog, and I have a new post every week, and I actually have a cheat sheet of copywriting tips that you get for free when you subscribe. John's just given me another great question. Should you focus on promoting one channel, e.g. phone us, or include multiple channels? Do you know what this goes back to tip number 4. Hello from Brazil. I love this global audience. California, Brazil. I know we've got Australia. Yay. I would actually include multiple channels because the way you prefer to be contacted may not be the way that your customers want to contact you. So I would at least include a phone number and an email address and a website address. That would be the minimum, and that gives people a few options to find out more from your website, to send you an email or send you a phone number. So think about not only how you want to be contacted, think about how your clients might want to contact you, and don't make it too narrow. And especially in this day, I don't like calling people. I don't want to call people. I want to send them an email. So yeah, multiple channels. Don't overload your contact list with every single way that someone can get in touch with you, though. It's a bit too much. John says, thanks for the great advice. You are welcome, my friend. Thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in. Write better brochures and be more awesome. Cheers.